Hello guys, welcome. And as you know, we will talk about what I learned today. And I finished this news. Why does criticism seems more effective than praise? And I translated the last two paragraphs today, and I will talk about it. Then we will talk about the TED Talks. And unfortunately, this poor recipe means the way the people tell you the way how to reach your goal, how to achieve your aims, but that's not that bad. Actually, the way we mentioned here, and here we used differently. You suggest differently. We usually use suggest to give advice. I suggest you to do this, something like that. But here the evidence shows that what it shows, the reinforcement is here the support, and the support is kind of, for example, if you have a strength, everyone has a strength, you has a strength, and you need to identify it, you need to find it, and you need to identify it, and you need to find some ways how to improve that strength. That's the important. And if you do this, you will get better results. Then here relentless focus on faults means, actually, for example, I saw your fault, and every day I am always telling it, you made fault, you made that, and you are not successful, you will be full every time, something like that. But instead of this, if I identify your strength, and if I encourage you build on to improve, to improve and enhance, I'm not sure about that word, that skill, that your strength, that produce better results. That's the important thing here. And here also said the important thing is recognize. First you need to recognize, and you need to know yourself very well. If you think you don't have strength, it means you are not question yourself. You 100% has a strength, so you need to find that. And everyone also has falling short, and we need to point out them, we need to find them, and we need to study how we can handle them, because these are your weaknesses. So you also need to find weaknesses, and you need to figure out how to solve these problems. For example, my Turkish pronunciation also not very good, my English pronunciation also not very good. It's my falling short, it's my weaknesses, but I know how to figure out that. So I am every day I am making video, and I am speaking English for 10 or 15 minutes, so that helps me, and I see my speaking, my pronunciation is getting better. So you should do it if you have this kind of problems. And this functional is, it doesn't work well. So because of this, we see praise, saying every time, saying good things to somebody doesn't work well. So we need to find strengths. Okay, so I changed the page. Okay, here we are again. So find strengths and find not faults, falling short, and shortcomings, we can say weaknesses, we can say. And that's the important one. And here, okay, we have we can have experience, but it doesn't necessarily means always experience lead us correctly. It's not correct. We can misled by experience. So you need to be careful that. And these lessons, because some lessons are not always obvious. So you need to find these lessons. You can think these lessons the way to reach the success, successful about something. So it requires you need to have thought, reflection, and analysis. These three things is so important to find correct way that make you successful about what you are doing. And this is the only when you're fully aware, only when you fully know what's happening or why you face some things in your life, something bad or something good. So if you know what's happening, and the most important thing is why it is happening. If you have a trouble, you should ask why this is happening to me. If you figure out these reasons, that you can have chance to solve that. And to find it, you need to analyze it, think it, and reflection here means I translate this like hayal, and it's so important. To do that, you can make the best choice, and it can take you to success, make you successful. Okay, so in this case, giving praise and giving criticize, here said you praise someone as quickly as fast as you criticize someone. Okay, we finished here the news. That was really good. If you want me to translate other news you can write on comment section. I will evaluate that. Otherwise, I will translate news from BBC. Here it's TED Talks. We finished this today also, and I will talk about this originally. It means before. We have a way to preserve foods, but before invention of refrigeration and refrigerators, you use refrigerators in your house to keep foods in the cold area. You use refrigerators. Before the invention of refrigerator, people use fermentation to keep to preserve foods, and that was a traditional practice, traditional way to do that, and it's all over the world. And like kimchi, sakura, tempeh, and kabocha, and I showed this foods picture in those videos. They give us variety and vitality. Variety means diversity, with vitality means like alive to our diets. And yogurt, you all know. Yogurt, it's a fermented food, and fermented food has actually that introduce a lot of good bacteria into our gut. And here we say it again. Actually, this kind of sentence we saw it in previous videos, and that doesn't necessarily mean all yogurt is good for us. Why? Because we have some yogurts with fruit. They are sweet. So here it says brands with too much sugar. It means sweet. and fruit yogurts. Not enough bacteria may not actually help. So it means if you eat fruit yogurt, that doesn't help you so much. So you need to eat only yogurt without nothing. That's the most beneficial way to gain good bacteria, helpful bacteria in your gut. But these are just general guidelines, general informations. We don't know deeply. And more research, we need to have more research about this before we fully to understand it fully. Actually, I read this exactly how any these foods means yogurt and these other foods, I say that interact means related and correlated with our microbiomes. So for now we don't exactly what kind of relationship with our microbiomes they have, but if we have enough research and more research, we can figure out what's happening there. And then here our gut, inside of our guts are that difficult. It's difficult to see them, to make direct observation. And for example, here we have don't currently know whether these foods are directly responsible for what change in diversity. Diversity means variety, or something more complicated, complex, sophisticated is happening. So we don't currently know this, but if we have more research, we can know. And there are vast wilderness inside our guts, and we are just only beginning to explore that. We don't know, we don't have much information about this. We have a glimpse, it means we see, and crucial means
we already have a glimpse of how crucial our
here crucial means very important, and digestive means digest. I said that digest foods. We digest foods in our guts, so digestive health is so important. And here belly is our stomach area, but here it says we have power to fire up the bacteria in our bellies, but actually I'm not sure how can we use that. And fill up fibers, fresh relevant foods. You can trust you're going strong. And this was the advice. You need to eat fibers. The food has more fibers, fresh and fermented. Leafy, taze, mayalı. Food means yiyecekler. You need to eat this kind of foods. So if you eat that, you can trust your gut, keep you strong. So we need to eat this kind of things. So we need to be aware of what we eat. Okay, now let's go talk about hobbies. And we translated to the 32nd page of the book, and we translated maybe the longest sentence in this book to here, and I will talk about this sentence. And at last, yesterday we said the hobbit asked a minute to collect his wits, to relax, and he needed to drink something. So he had only just a sip. Sip means here yudum. He almost finished his drink, that's beverage, and he was in the corner. So while he was drinking this drink, and four dwarfs sat down there on the table, around the table, talk about mines, gold, troubles with goblins, because goblins are bad guys, and the predations of dragons. The predation means damage, their damage of their strength or power of dragons. Talking about that, and there are a lot of things, but our hobbit Bilbo couldn't understand these things, and actually he didn't want to understand because they sound adventurous, or there are dragons, something like that, and we know hobbit doesn't like adventures, so he didn't want to understand it because he doesn't care anything about adventures. So these things, while these things happened, ding dong, ling dong, it's a kind of ring bell again, and like as if some naughty little hobbit boy was trying to pull the handle of the. So this kind of sound occurs. So Bilbo said, "Someone at the door." Blink means to close your eyes cover, something like that. Blink means göz kırpmak, by the way. And Philly said, "There are four people at the door, and we saw them coming along behind us." When Philly and Killy, when they come to Bilbo's house, they look at back and saw four dwarves. This sentence means that. And the poor little hobbits, our Bilbo sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands. So he was so sad and angry, flustered, and wondered what had happened, because he didn't understand. There was 4 people inside and 4 people outside, but Bilbo doesn't know any of them. He didn't invite them, so he surprised a lot, and he wondered what was going to happen. So 4 people also will come here, so he doesn't have any idea what will gonna happen. So whether they will all stay or suffer. Okay, they come, but they will stay a long time or not. Bilbo is not sure about this too. So then the bell rang again, louder than ever. So the Bilbo was thinking, so he didn't open the door yet. So that 4 people ring the bell again, and Bilbo ran to the door, and it was not 4 after all. It was 5. So here Phil said that was 4, but that wasn't 4. That was 5 dwarves was waiting in front of the door. Another dwarf had come along while he was wandering, and I said he was wandering. He just sat down and put his head in his hands, and he was thinking. He was wondering about these things. At that time, another dwarf also come, and they became 5 dwarfs. And he had hardly turned the knob, because he was so sad, he was so flustered, so surprised, and they were all inside again and bowing and saying at your servers. They show their respect to Bilbo one after another, and their name was Dori, Nori, Ori, Oin, and Gloin, and we know their hats, their hoods, two of them wearing purple hoods, and one of them gray hoods, one of them brown hood, one of them white hood, and they take their hood and hang on the pegs, and they march with their broad heads. Broad hands means big hand. They take big hand stuck in their gold silver belts, like this, and march means here walk, and they join to others by walking. And already it almost become a throng. Throng means very crowded people. In Turkish we say it curcuna. Because there was 9 people in the house. Actually, if we count Bilbo, there was 10 people in the house. So that was very crowded. So some called for ale, some for porter, and one of them coffee, and all of them asked cakes. For ale is the most quality of beer, it means, and porter means black beer. I didn't drink that. If you know anything about this, please write on comment section. And one of them asked coffee, and all of them of course asked cakes, especially one of them, or Kelly or Billy, I'm not sure. He asked seed cake, as you remember. So Hobbit was busy for a while because he needed to serve these dwarves, and we stopped here. And I hope this video helped you again, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.